Nigeria, and I make you welcome to Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television from the economic hub and capital of economy in Nigeria, Lagos. I am Henry Igwebike, and we start today with our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversational. So please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us when you visit us right here on Enterprise and enterprisetvnews.com, that is. And equally, you can follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're very so honored to have with us, joining us via Zoom, Emeka Madunagu, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all that we have from our newspapers and possibly crisscross right into our main conversation for today. Good morning, Emeka, and welcome.
Yeah, good morning. It's my pleasure. Good morning.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for giving us your time, despite how busy it is for you. Emeka, I'd love us to start with the Guardian newspaper this morning, and we have the big story: e-waste time bomb imminent amid solar energy adoption boom. I do not know the reason why the Guardian newspaper is taking up this story as its editorial. When Nigeria is still battling lack of electricity, a deficit of electricity, and solar is now the alternative, and Nigerians are beginning, or new media is beginning to come against it. We do not know why that is so. Emeka, I'd love you to speak to that particular matter. Is this a war of competitors, of the Gencos and the Discos going on the net to change the narrative for alternative to power, especially e-power?
Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, solar, has lithium in it. All of these things you see, they have different radioactive materials in them. And so it is not, that's one of the things about the downsides of industrialization. When you have industrialization on a large scale, on a growing scale, you don't have to make provision for waste. Now, that is one certain we don't factor into our projection in Nigeria, that if you remember the 1986 or the 88 incident of a dumping of e-waste at Cocoa in Delta State. It was because, Western nations had been looking for where to dump their waste. So it's a great concern. The only thing for us is because we don't get so involved in we are not highly industrialized. But with this gradual adoption of renewables, we will now have to start thinking seriously about how to dispose of these radioactive materials, because we have this problem of catch-up. We wait until others have gone far before we start catching up. We want others to do the work, and they come and teach us how they did it, instead of us to develop our own indigenous, homegrown responses to our challenges. So yes, more and more people are adopting solar. And how do we dispose of the waste? How do we dispose of the waste? You see these scavengers, they are like a short-term measure. They carry the waste. They buy those items we rejected, fridges, irons, different things that contain all these radioactive substances. And then you see in some neighborhoods, you perceive some offensive odors from time to time. What is that? They are burning these things in order to extract the iron inside them. And they are polluting the air. But who cares about air pollution? Who cares about, checking the air quality? And then we say people are falling sick. We say government is spending a lot of money. Nigerians are spending a lot of money on their health. Why not? Because we do not prioritize prevention. We only wait for people to fall sick and go to hospital. And then look at look at the rate of cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and all of that. All of these things are a fallout of poor management of these renewables and other items we use in our home. How do we manage the waste? Even computers, laptops, phones, all of these things, they have some harmful substances. Even bulbs, the bulbs we use in our home, they have harmful substances. And if we don't dispose of them, some of these things are not biodegradable. They just remain like that. Just try throw an electric bulb, these ones that use filament, throw them away in one bush. Come back after 3 or 5 years, it will still be like that. Many of them are not biodegradable. Even if you break them to pieces or you burn them, there is still the residue in the soil. So we must think deeply about waste. Waste is a serious issue. And we must think deeply about how to manage our waste. Thank you.
All right. I just sincerely hope that this won't be a call by the government. The Nigerian government is very good at measuring in the minor. I just hope this would not lead to a situation where the little solar energy the Nigerians are taking up as an alternative for the deliberate failure of the government not to provide electricity. I just hope that the government of the day would not use this as opportunity to either increase the tariff on importation of this solar and products and others to the country, which equally would still be disadvantageous to the economy of the country, knowing that lots of businesses take that as an alternative to the lack of deliberate electricity in the country. Emeka, let's talk about Rivers State now. Rivers LG election. The Peter side secondus, others warm against the constitutional breach. I do not know what our constitution had to say about a state of emergency and the military administrator who is illegally placed in Rivers State conducting elections, local government election, a constitutional mandate. How is it even possible that someone who is illegal is trying to create or administer election in a state? Doesn't that make the election itself illegal?
Yeah, that's correct. But the Supreme Court helped to legalize that illegality, and which is very sad. The Supreme Court said yes, that the illegality should be allowed to stand. And it's sad what a judiciary has turned into. A judiciary has become an arm of the executive, giving judgments that endorse executive lawlessness and recklessness. And this thing has gone on in the last few years. In different cases, look at the local government, the suit of local government. It has become just an academic exercise. It has, it's of no consequence. Because the Supreme Court went out of his way to please the executive. For no reason. Instead of maintaining their lane as judicial officers, they now move into the realm of politics, which you are now seeing the result. It has not yielded the desired result. The local governments are still firmly under the control of the states. So these are the things we talk about, judicial recklessness. Look at what is happening in Rivers State. The Supreme Court has refused to say anything. They stalled the case on, the suit filed by governors on this executive recklessness in Rivers State. They've stalled the suit. They've not said anything. The Supreme Court has now become a department of the presidency. So why do we need the court? Why do we need the court? Let's not settle everything in the executive. Let Asorok become a court so that we know that we don't have it. We don't need a judiciary. We don't need the courts. Why should we be wasting money, on maintaining, judges, maintaining justice of the Supreme Court? When what the verdicts they give are not different from what, those in power will give. And let's forget about the judiciary. I think it's time to think about whether we still need a judiciary in this country. Because the court is supposed to be the last hope of the common man. But now it's like the lost hope of the common man. I think the judiciary should sit up. They should correct themselves. This resort to, working for the executive against the people, it has to stop. Thank you.
All right, it has to stop. We do not know if it would ever stop, knowing that the executive are still in charge of financing the judiciary and providing for them everything they want. Yes, Wike the other day provided housing for the judges in Abuja, and one would ask, he who pays the piper ultimately dictates the tune. And as much as the judiciary in Nigeria are still not and remain unindependent, issues like this we would continue to have. Very sad in a democratic ecosystem.
Let me correct something.
Please do.
The judiciary at the federal level is on the first line charge. They are on the first line charge. So, and they could have quietly rejected that Greek gift from the FCT minister. They could have rejected it.
So, but why didn't they?
They were within their rights. They were within their rights to have rejected. They could have said, yes, we don't want, sorry. We have a provision. We're on the first line charge, because we're the first line charge. And we get our allocations directly. But to have accepted that Greek gift shows that the judiciary, what are they looking for? Is it that the budget of judiciary cannot take care of housing, accommodation for their members? Is it that the judiciary cannot house its members? Why must the executive buy vehicles, provide the housing for the judiciary? Why? The judiciary, because politicians want to be able to manipulate the judiciary. And sadly, judicial officers see nothing wrong in all of this. Look what is going on in Rivers State. It's an aberration. The National Assembly, went ahead to endorse the aberration. Because, why? It is all part of the ongoing executive lawlessness in the country. And it's sad. Thank you.
Very sad, Emeka, and despicable. That's the better word to use. PDP threatens to sanction prominent members for endorsing Tinubu's re-election bid. And number one person on the minds of every Nigerian is Nyesom Wike and a couple of others. Is it ever possible that the PDP would sanction Nyesom Wike and his allies for supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu anti-party? Isn't it, Emeka?
You see, the PDP has shot itself in the foot. It has scored many own goals against itself. So, first of all, let them organize an elective national convention, and then get a leadership that will truly define whether the PDP is an independent party or is a department in the APC. Because right now, the PDP has clearly destroyed itself. Everybody was blaming Atiku Abubakar, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, for the crisis in the PDP. Now he has left. It's even getting worse. You've seen the chapters in Ogun and Osun states have endorsed Tinubu's re-election, which is, which goes against the principles of, the principles of democracy. So Nigerian politicians are just opportunists. They are just opportunists. They are not there to serve. Any way is the way. It doesn't matter how despicable and how it constitutes a breach of the law. They don't care. That is the unfortunate thing we see. Well, can you sanction who? You've not sanctioned Wike. You are saying you will sanction more. You will sanction who? When people are openly, Fayose, former governor of Ekiti State, he attended an endorsement rally for the governor of Ekiti State and for Tinubu. He donned the PDP cap. Why? What kind of theatrics is that? What kind of What kind of shamelessness is that? I mean, but of course, we know that these people don't have the interest of Nigerians at heart. Thank you.
Yes, very truly. We do not know if these pockets of people have the interest of Nigerians at heart, because of it's very, very glaring that Nigeria has descended to a level where the man with the biggest pocket, takes everything to himself. I wonder if posterity would do what posterity knows how to do best. But let's take a look at the weekend trust today. Emeka, 62% pass English maths as WAEC releases review results. Emeka, WAEC is becoming a joke right now, isn't it? Because of just a couple of days back, 2 days back, they said they had glitches, and rather than go through the pain that JAMB went through, they quickly, immediately reactivated everything. I would love to believe they had to pass everyone because of the backlash. Is WAEC today a joke?
Look, the federal government set up NECO as a viable alternative to WAEC. And I don't know why the same Nigerian government has not invested so much to help NECO, to upgrade NECO to international standards. I mean, to acceptable standards, because WAEC is an international exam body. So why have they not, done so much to help WAEC? I'm sorry, to help NECO, to raise NECO to international standards. I mean, that is by themselves. Because when we say international standards, that it should be acceptable anywhere in the world. That you can, so that you can use NECO to get into, to even get admission anywhere, abroad or Nigeria or anywhere. So sadly, we are the ones who would like to hurt ourselves because we don't know what we want. And that's the unfortunate thing. We talk up and down, but we don't know what we want. I mean, why really messed up? They bungled this last examination. And I think they owe the candidates a huge apology. They have been accused now of, doing nothing about the syndicates that have been leaking exam questions. Instead, look at what they did when it was time for the English language examination. They now push the burden to the pupils, to the candidates. They push the burden to the candidates that they had to take exams in the night, with by candlelight. How did you expect them to pass? How did you expect them to pass? So when we see these things, and of course, sadly, the Minister of Education, who was quick to talk when JAMB made his own blunder, he has been silent. He has said nothing. I thought by now they should have acted. The WAEC, the head of WAEC office, national office in Nigeria, ought to have resigned, because this is a disgrace. This is a big, big disgrace, and it is sad. Very big disgrace. Yes. They ought to honestly apologize to the candidates, because they know people are warning. People ask them to shut down the results portal and look at the issues, the problems that arose concerning the exams. But they didn't. They didn't listen to anybody. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Emeka. We have another story just before we call it a wrap for this particular segment. Why Ghanaians protest against Nigerians. Emeka, I do not know if you've seen this viral video, very disturbing one, where Nigerians from other regions in the country residing in Ghana, they were given a heads up to Ghanaians on how to profile other Nigerians from another region, and stating that it is not all Nigerians that are bad, but rather Nigerians from that other region are bad. And they started naming 5 differentials or 5 unique things about the region that they desire that Ghanaians should unlive. It's very so disturbing, Emeka. Have we gotten to a point in Nigeria where there is a hidden pogrom growing in the minds of Nigerians against their fellow Nigerians?
Well, xenophobia is there can never be any justification for xenophobia, no matter whatever excuses we try to profile. There can never be any excuse, any justification for xenophobia. What those Ghanaians did against Nigerians was wrong. That's plain xenophobia. It was wrong. And it's an international crime. People should be allowed to live freely wherever they find themselves, insofar as they are not living there illegally. So, for those bringing out characteristics and all that, it's the lack of self-awareness. Because first of all, people have committed a crime against the Geneva Convention. They've committed a crime against the ECOWAS Treaty. And then you are now trying to help them to, bandage a wound. A wound you're trying to bandage a wound by trying to, bring up certain differentials. There is no the basic action that was taken by those Ghanaians in denouncing Nigerians, saying Nigerians must go, was a crime. An international crime, the violation of all the ECOWAS Treaty, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the Geneva Convention, is a violation of human decency. And the Ghanaian government ought to have apologized to Nigerians. With any other thing we're doing is just, trying to paper over the cracks. It's wrong. It's giving the impression that Nigeria and Ghana are having problems. No, we don't have any issues at all. We don't have any issues. An interview of since 2013 was what some people now weaponized. And sadly, for the first time, we now started hearing that even Nigerians in a foreign country are being categorized. Why do we? And these things also, Nigerians, we should also learn to stop messing ourselves up. The way we engage in these petty differences here in Nigeria, and we now export it to social media, and then export it to foreign countries, is a disgrace, is a shame, is an indication of lack of self-awareness, lack of pride. Wherever we are, whether in Nigeria or abroad, we are Nigerian. But when you begin to now make the distinction between who is of this ethnic nationality or who is of this, you only show that you don't even appreciate the fact that you are a Nigerian. And that, and you know what is even pushing such a narrative is because those in power think that is the way for them to stay in power, for them to remain in power, and that is, it's a huge letdown. Thank you.
Very well said, Emeka. And I love to believe if our leaders are listening, then they should learn from Paul Kagame of Rwanda. Right after the genocide that happened in the country, Paul Kagame made it known that no Rwandan should identify himself as either Tutsi or any other tribe in Rwanda. You call yourself a Rwandan, that is who you are. So I love to think that if we must get it right, then this indigenization issue should be taken to the background, and the Nigerians should see themselves as Nigerians and not from whichever state they come from, if really the intention is unity in diversity. Thank you so very much, Emeka. And just to let you know that he would be here to take calls on our main conversation. That is when we return. Pastor Adeboye restates a death prophecy, preaches spiritual tenacity. That in the Beat Still Enterprise Weekend. Please don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.